I'm Shatona Havoc.
I'm April Heyman.
And I'm C.R. Rowanson. We're here.
We're live. And we're writing. So today...
Cheerleading! Rick'em, rack'em, rock'em, ruck'em. Get that ball and really fight!
Oh, Lord.
Thank you, Robin Williams.
Yay. He's the master, right? Okay, I'm just going to come right out and say it, okay? This is really important to me, so this is like my baby. You got to have cheerleaders. Just saying.
But I am a writer. I don't need anyone.
You're not alone, Clark. Remember the not? Yeah. You need cheerleaders. Trust me, you need cheerleaders, and not the pom-poms and really long skirts and sleeves below the elbows like I was. Woo woo.
What school did you go to?
Yeah, you don't want to know. little school. There was 14 of us in the whole school, and yeah. You just saying, yeah.
14 of you in the whole school. How many were cheerleaders?
14.
So,
and we're talking kindergarten to 12th grade.
Oh, so you got them all over the place.
That's right. We had the little kids going, rah, rah, and the big kids going, sis, boom, what? And where's that in the Bible?
Oh, boy. So, what kind of cheerleaders do we need?
We need cheerleaders that are going to keep us just fired up. I mean, sometimes you get really bogged down in the mechanics of writing. Am I showing? Am I telling? My characterization? Is he good? Is he not? What am I doing? And you need someone to come along and say, "You've got this. You can do this. You're good." And you think, "No. I'm just. Why am I even doing this? I can't write. I'm this." And someone comes along and says, "Do you remember that review you got last week? Yeah, you can write. So get your bum in the chair and get done."
So it sounds like I need someone who likes me more than I do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ah, okay.
That was easy. Next. What are we going to talk about tomorrow? Oh. So, what about you, April?
So what's the difference between a cheerleader and a yes man?
A cheerleader will tell you the truth while encouraging you, even if the truth hurts. A yes man is just, whitewashing the garbage.
And so how do you identify them? Because they can look a lot alike, right?
Oh, yeah. Don't you think? I mean...
Yeah, most definitely. I think really a good cheerleader, well, there are different types of cheerleaders.
Well, there are. And you know what? Honestly, the best way to find one is to be one.
I completely agree with that. So we're weaving all over the place. Pom-poms are flashing in the air, and it's distracting you like a disco ball. But it's important. If you want to, it can be really hard to find these people who, like I said, believe in you more than you do. And the best way I've seen to do that is to get out there and do it for someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the best things that I have found is, you've got your fans, and sometimes your fans are your best cheerleaders, but sometimes they are that yes man that April was talking about. They love everything you write because they love you. It's kind of like your mom, well, there are two types of moms. There's the mom that there's nothing you can write that is going to be good enough. And then there's the mom that you could literally write Dick and Jane and she would think it's Pulitzer material. I don't have that mom. I have the first mom. And I love her for it because that is my type of cheerleader. I want my cheerleaders to tell me where I'm blowing it. Some people just need an encouraging cheerleader. They've got enough negativity in their life, and they don't need someone to say, this is where you need to improve, as much as they need someone to say, look at where you have improved.
Right. So everybody's cheerleader is going to look different.
Absolutely.
So, Clark, Shatona told us a little bit about what her cheerleaders look like. What does your cheerleader look like? I mean, that actually looks like, but, general
So,
character.
in other words, they don't have ponytails and pom-poms?
No.
And his wife is listening, by the way.
Or something,
Yeah.
Our horror writer here, so,
Oh, severed heads instead of pom-poms. That's the way to go.
I could see you doing that, too. I'll be waiting for that one.
So it sounds like, Shatona, you were talking a lot about the fan-based writers, your readers. And one thing I could see being a problem with that is if they're really excited for your stuff, that puts extra pressure on you to be better, to write faster. That sounds stressful, and I am really good at giving myself stress. So the types of cheerleaders that I have found most helpful for me right now, I think of them as life anchors. They're people who are in my life, day-to-day life, and just keep me anchored and on the path. I've said it before, I have problems with anxiety. I overthink, I get overwhelmed, and I will just be sitting there writing, saying, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. There's no point in me doing any of this ever again. And my wife comes in and says, no, you love doing this, and you try harder than just about anybody I know, so it's going to be fine.
Yes, because you are talented.
And then I sit back down and start writing.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So what kind of cheerleader do you need, April?
I need one who keeps it real but wraps it in a lot of love.
Yeah, and I'm the just beat me over the head with the 2x4, but just tell me when I do it right too. I want the truth, all of the truth. Some people think that truth is only the bad stuff.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah,
Right.
give it all to me. Tell me that scene stinks. Tell me that scene is the funniest thing you've ever written. Tell me all of it, but some people really just need to hear, that's not your best work, but I can see your best work in it.
And note how she said that's not your best work instead of I would rather be lobotomized by an ice pick. There's a big difference there.
Yeah, but if you told me that, I would crack up and go, okay, obviously I need to improve that. I would tell you that, and you would chop your head off.
Right.
And that's Chitona. I would handle it very differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the point. We all handle the feedback differently, but we all need people who can give it to us, like it is, but do it in a way that matches who we are too. And finding that person can be a little difficult.
I think it helps to find out what kind of person you tend to be, because then you know what you need. And then you also have to learn to temper who you tend to be, because I tend to be that brutally. I mean, let me tell you, one of the editing things that I sent to a woman, she was telling someone else when I sent that woman an editing thing, she says, now listen, you're going to read it and you're going to cry and just put it aside and come back in a couple days later. She said, it took me a few days to be able to read it again, but it was really helpful once I got past the crying part. Okay.
Oh my.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chitona makes people cry.
I'm a crier ish thing.
My bad.
Drop page.
Drop page.
We're imitating Daddy Warbucks today. Can I get the razor and shave your head?
No. Well, I'm sorry. It's just I thought that would be preferable to the mic drop.
Oh well. No,
Yeah, please don't drop the
Yeah,
mics.
the script didn't say drop mic. It said drop page. So you were sticking to the script. It's just that's not our script.
Yeah.
But okay.
Just kidding. We don't use a script here on Alive and Writing.
No, of course not.
So, what other types of cheerleaders can you guys think of?
Peers.
Readers?
Go on.
Peer. I mean, we talked about readers a little bit. I mean, my readers.
Yeah, we did.
I have really great readers. I actually have the world's best readers. I'm just going to say it, and just too bad.
And eventually, April and I are going to team together and kidnap some of them.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Hey, I shared with April. I shared.
True. She did
Because when
share.
you share, you get your share of friends. Lionel, the kindly Viking, said so.
I do. I got some very nice feedback and reviews on my last book. So
Yeah.
So the readers did like it, and it was very encouraging.
It is encouraging when you hear something that says, yeah, this is good. And that's why when I get to read Clark stuff, I'm like, okay, this isn't even my genre, and I want to know what happens next.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
I would like to point out that Clark got some kind of award. What was that all about? Yeah.
Let's cheer the award real quick.
Yay. So I actually got an honorable mention in the Writers of the Future contest a year or so back. And I have to remind myself of that because, like they said, I'm really good at beating myself up, and it is now framed so that I can stop doing that. But hey, we're doing tangenting things. We're good at that.
Hey, yes, procrastination.
So going back to all this, why are peers so important? So basically, why are you guys important? Why should I keep you around?
Because we are going to tell you what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear, and we're going to couch it in all the love that you need. Okay, maybe it's just because we get you. We're doing the same thing you're doing. We've been there, we've done that, and we are going to make sure that you are not alone.
And we also understand the craft.
You're never going to let me live that down.
I'm not.
No.
Go ahead,
But
April.
it fits. It just fits. It's beautiful.
We also understand the craft and we understand story structure, but we also understand the struggle of putting it all together.
So we speak the same language, just like when you went to your support group for your autoimmune, they spoke your language. They understood
Right.
you. You didn't have to identify. You didn't have to say, well, this is what passive writing is, because I know it is.
That's a really good point, actually. And what Shatona is talking about is back in one of the episodes, we talked about the fact that you are not alone, and April discussed finding a support group for an autoimmune disorder. That's a really good point, Shatona.
Yeah. We understand each other. We speak the same language. It would be like me being the only American in Greece. And everyone around me is, speaking Greek, and it's all Greek to me. But then I find 3 or 4 people, 3 or 4 people who speak English. We speak the same, we can communicate. And it's the same with writing. Writing has its own language.
That's another good point. That's exactly what happened when I was studying abroad. I'm going to try and bring us back online a little bit again. Are there bad types of cheerleaders?
Yes, they're really bad. What do you think?
Well, I know that sounds like a contradiction, but
There are people who think that they are your cheerleader. People like me who will jump into it, and really help. And then, they're not so helpful because they're just beating you over the head.
Are they bitter and resentful too?
That too, yeah.
this is the last time I try and help you guys. No more notes for you.
Yeah. I'm reading the note here. Just like when Clark says he gets to be sarcastic, and it's like, why can't I be sarcastic? I'm good at sarcasm.
Well, that'll show me.
Exactly.
Well, then sarcasticize away, and I get to create new words. That's my talent in life.
Because do you remember what it was we were going to spotlight this week, April? I put it on your notes.
Yes, I know you did put it on my notes. That's why I'm like waving frantically at them. Like, wait. We actually need to spotlight our cheerleader checklist.
Woo, woo, rah, rah. Oh,
The checklist.
Checklist. So, Shatona, can you tell us more about the checklist, please?
okay, the checklist, it was really funny. We were trying to come up with a checklist idea of how to find cheerleaders, and we realized that really what we needed was to make a checklist of how to be a good cheerleader, the things that we can do to be someone else's great cheerleader, because if we can identify those, we're also going to identify what we need. And so the best way really to find your cheerleaders, I think, is to be a good cheerleader.
So we put together this checklist. It has a list of do's and don'ts, and it has like techniques when talking to people or asking for feedback, and a whole bunch of other good stuff that we've just kind of picked up trying to deal with people, and it will be available and free in the show notes.
Yay! So go get it, download, share with your friends.
So yes, the checklist. Now, I want to get back to bad cheerleaders, which, speaking of, so in high school, I thought we had nothing but girls on the cheerleading team, so I thought it would be really funny if I auditioned and made a point when they were like, no, we can't have a man on here with all of the women. Then I realized that one of my friends, his mom was the coach, and she would have no problem putting me in one of those short skirts.
You should have gone to my school and done it, because at least if you had to be in a skirt, it would have left the floor by 2 inches.
That would have been uncomfortable for everyone.
Both of them would have been, sorry.
So we talked about the people who are, they pretend that they're cheerleaders, but they're trying to undermine you, and it's not a fun thing to talk about, but this does happen. So you do need
really
to keep
does.
an eye out for it.
I agree. I actually had a friend who had this happen. She wrote a book. She wrote a very good book. And one of the people that wanted to read it was her mother. And now when my mom reads my book, she'll tell me if she finds something wrong or whatever. But she's actually a fairly good cheerleader. But this woman's mother gave it back to her a couple of days later with like almost every line redlined. And it was demoralizing. It was like, the mother meant well, okay? She really meant well, but she was not my friend's cheerleader. this is not who my friend needed for a cheerleader.
Well, and this brings me to another type that I like to think of them as strife and confusion, and I'm not talking about the attendants of Ares, God of War. It's just when you have people who, they're good people, but for whatever reason, it doesn't work with you, which in that case, it sounds like her mom probably needed to be a life anchor rather than somebody giving feedback on the manuscript. I don't know. Sorry, April. Shatona and I talk a lot, so April, any thoughts?
No.
Oh, fine.
Well, there you have it, folks.
Then this is why we just keep talking, because poor April, we just take all her words.
Yeah, I'm trying to be polite, but they keep talking.
Yeah, she's with us. It's not.
Bless her heart.
Yeah, bless my heart.
She writes Southern Mystery right now, so I'm trying to identify with her and be a cheerleader by saying "bless her heart," and she gets to decide if it means that I'm actually meaning that or if I'm being sarcastic, because it goes both ways.
It does go both ways. It probably means both at this point.
Yeah, right.
No, I think that I mean, like you guys, I much prefer people who are supportive and fit my needs rather than those people who they mean well, but they're not helpful, or they're just not the kind of person who needs to be a cheerleader in the first place because they have no concept of what it is you're trying to do.
And obviously, we can talk about this a lot. So if you have any questions, like, we can do other episodes on this in the future if you want to know more about something specific, a little less rambly. I'll make sure that April gets sufficient notes.
That's right.
But I don't. Where are we at for time right now?
You need to sign off here pretty soon.
Awesome.
Okay. So, in addition to letting us know if you want to hear more about different types of cheerleaders or finding cheerleaders, again, you can go check out our cheerleader checklist and become a better cheerleader yourself.
Woo woo.
But what I really want you to do is go out and find somebody who needs a cheerleader. They don't have to be a writer.
No.
It can be friend, family, anything.
A struggling mom in the grocery store. Just saying. She's sitting there. She's got those kids. She's just
barely holding it together.
Yeah, tell her, hey, you're doing a great job. Even if she's doing a lousy job, she's doing a great job because the kids are there and they are alive.
Yay! So
By the way, that's Shatona's type of parenting. I'm just saying.
Yes.
So go find somebody and try and be a cheerleader. And, while you're looking at the checklist, you can just go and look through our other posts and share us, leave us a review on iTunes or wherever we're on. April would know more about that.
He left me out to try. It was awful. You can leave us a comment on our blog, on the iTunes, wherever you subscribe to us at.
All right, well, we are out of time. This has been Alive and Writing, because sometimes that's all you have, but it's all you really need. All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.